this video we are going to be discussing, or I'm going to be talking about static fields. So we've discussed and we've used methods that are static, but fields that are static are aloof to us. So what I've created here is you should have this handout. I've created a static value for num cars for this cars class. So this cars class has a model, a brand, and the number of doors. So to do this, that means when you have a static, excuse me, when you have a static field, you need to initialize it right away. Okay, especially even if it's not a constant. So we have to give it that value. Especially because every time I create this, every time we create a car, I'm going to be increasing the number of cars created. So every time it runs a constructor, every time it makes an object, it's going to increase. So I needed to give it a starting value. So I created a toString method, and I created a getNumCars method. Now I made this static also, just because because it's returning a static field, I should make it a static method. But you know, it's kind of unnecessary. It just changes how you call it in the actual program. So I did create this toString. I left out, I don't know, brand or something, but I outputted all of these things. So that means in this thing right here, my numCars is going to be increased every time I use the new. So every time new is used and it's created a new car, inside the constructor I have increasing that value. So if I output the third value here, I'm using my toString thing. Oh, I'm sorry. When I run this, the model is a pickup, the doors is 2, and the number of cars is 3. Okay, because I ran that 3 times. If I put another one on there, it would do the same thing. And even if I outputted the first cars, okay, it's still going to be, because I've already I've changed the numCars value. I've created 3 cars, so it doesn't matter which car we're in. This was I used the default constructor, so there was no model, it was just an empty string. But there's still 3 cars that were created because, you know, I wrote this after I've created the 3 cars. If I made another one, let's create another one. We'll make another defaulty. Make it C4. Then C1, the numCars in C1, and all of them for that matter, is going to be 4. So let's say I don't want to use my toString. I want to actually get the values. So just realize this method right here, this toString, not the toString, but this method that I created is static. So there are 2 different ways that you can call it, conveniently enough. So when I come over here, so I want to do whatever, C1 dot get numCars, okay, and that will allow me to get the value of the cars. So it's basically, you know, the same thing I did, but it's just the number of cars. And in this case now we have 4. If I didn't want to use C1, I could use the name of the class. Because it's a static class, I can just use the name of this class right here, cars, the one that it's included in. So when I compile this, no mistakes, shockingly enough for me, and there's the output. There's what was returned. So it's nice. Static classes can be called in 2 ways, in classes that allow you to create an object, that is. Yes? All right, so that is static fields, what, you know, different ways you could use it, and, you know, a little bit more on static methods. See ya.